sidewall application. Tracey is gonna show you the do's and don'ts, why it's so important right now.
Okay guys, so I recently had a direct message and it was asking about sidewalls. Well, not directly asking about sidewalls, but sidewalls was the answer. So I thought this would be a great video for you today. But basically we had a DM and the lady was like, my nails keep on breaking at the stress area, but I know they're thick enough. I've watched the videos, I know they're thick enough. When we have you send pictures, a lot of times we ask kind of for a side view, and there's a really good reason for that. Is because yes, it may look thick enough from here, but if you look at the sidewalls, we usually can figure out the problem if it's not that it's too thin. And guys, if you direct message us and we end up doing a video on it, please don't feel bad. This is why we want you to direct message. We want to know the problems that you guys are having so we can address it, share it in videos, and I guarantee if you had the problem, I definitely had the problem. I struggled with this a lot. So that's why I want to share it with you. I've already actually prepped this now. I did not put protein bond on it yet, but we'll do that right now. Remember, 1 time for most people, 2 times for heavy lifters. We don't want to find out they're a heavy lifter. Let's just do it twice. Okay, so the very first problem that it could be is this, is when we're actually applying the form. So I'm gonna get the form. I usually break it open for my thumbs. I don't do it for the rest of my fingers, but for my thumbs I do. And when a person is applying it to themselves or to a customer, you want to get it underneath the sidewalls, right? You want to make sure that it's not lipped up, but this is where the first mistake comes. We try to get it on, and sometimes we get the form on and it looks pretty good, but I want to show you. If you look at this side, the form is actually going up and over the nail. So what's going to happen is when I apply product, it's going to catch right here, which is going to create a notch. You're going to hear me talk about a notch a lot because notch is the whole issue usually. So this is the first way we can get a notch, by actually applying the form wrong. So the form is kind of up and over the natural nail. The product can't go out and over properly, so it's just immediately creating a weak spot in your form. Okay, so we got to make sure when we apply it, right, that we get it under those sidewalls. Or let's say it's a bitten nail. If you guys have watched any of our bitten nail videos, you know that we don't even worry about getting it underneath the free edge because there's no free edge to get it underneath, but you can make it where the product can walk up and over. Check out the nail biter videos. It's really good. Everybody should watch it because you're gonna have a client that comes in that chomps on their nails. Okay, so, ooh, a little crooked, but that's okay. Let me show you my form placement now so you can see the difference. The product can go up onto the nail, onto the nail, onto the nail, right onto the form. Nothing is going to create a notch here. Okay, I want to talk about when we place the product. Now, a lot of people like to attach it to right here. We do this because we know we want the nail to be nice and narrow, so we automatically place the product nice and narrow, which is great, but the problem is it needs to come out from the grooves straight out onto the form. Now, if you taper it, that's fine. We can still taper it here, but we don't want to miss this area with product. So I'm gonna apply it where I can see it real quick, and I'm gonna shortchange it so you see what I'm talking about. I'll be right back, but I have to look. Okay, so I think I got it where you guys can kind of see where I've made the mistake. So if you look, I've kind of attached it to the tip part, which again, I know I want the nail nice and narrow, so I attach it here, but if you notice right here, I'm missing product. It doesn't go from the sidewall straight out. If it did, I would have it right there. I'm hoping you guys can see. Even when I bring product up and over, yeah, so I'm gonna bring product up and over and I'm gonna make it nice and thick, but if this notch is there, it's still weak. which was a hard thing for me to comprehend when I'm like, I'm making it thick. I know my nail's thick enough, but when I've created a weak spot already, doesn't matter how thick it is. If there's a point where it can break, it's gonna break. Now, if you look at this side, doesn't look like a huge difference, but the product actually comes straight out from the groove, out onto the nail, and we have it nice and solid. Not a huge difference. It's just so tiny, so minute, but it's gonna make all the difference in the world. So again, the product, even when I put it on, it's gonna go, like my sound effects, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go over, and we're gonna have a nice, strong nail. So I'm gonna finish this nail out, and then I'm gonna kind of over exaggerate some sidewall issues that you can run into when you're filing. Okay, so I quickly realized that my one thumb was not gonna give us everything we needed. So I gave up on the thumb and we sculpted on the hand so you guys can see a little bit better. First one I wanted to show was what that thumb, when I shortchanged it on the side, might look like once the nail is done. So the nail has been applied. We haven't really filed it or anything, but you can see right here, it's where we shortchanged ourselves, right? It's because we connected it right at the tip when we didn't connect it from the sidewall through. Same thing here. We're kind of looking a little shallow, a little like we're missing something. We're definitely missing something. So what we'll do is we'll start filing, and we try to correct it by filing the sides even more, because we want to bring it in, the rest of the nail in with the rest of the product. And what we're doing as we do this is we're getting thinner and thinner and thinner at our sidewalls. So if I bring this in a little bit. Now some people like to shape prior to electric filing. I'll show you in a second what my preference is, but we'll do it this way just for the video, right? So starting to kind of look like a semi-normal nail. You can get through here, actually. Let me electric file it a little bit so we can kind of get a really good idea. Not much electric filing to do. I'm using my X cut today because my safety bit is dull. I think Greg took my safety bit. I think he gave me his and it's dull. But okay, so filed it through, and we're coming up and we're coming in and we're trying to blend it all in. And again, we're realizing that it's not looking quite right on the side, so we keep on kind of trying to go back to that and filing, trying to make it look normal. And we're just filing the crap out of the sides, right? And what we're left with, no matter how thick we actually make the nail, we could make it a 2x4, because this right here is really kind of missing product. It's not coming straight out from the sidewalls. More than likely, it's gonna snap right there because there's just no strength in the stress area where we need it. Next problem we have is we get done, and again, it's really weird for me to kind of shape prior to electric filing, but I'm gonna give it a whirl. So we come in and we start bringing up our sidewalls. We bring up our sidewalls. And I always say we want to go straight until we see the dust line coming straight out from it. Straight until we see a dust line coming straight out from it. Right? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, we're pretending we electric file. We're pretending today. Electric file the top. And we realize that there is quite a bit hanging off here, so we take that off. We know we got to get rid of that. You know, any really severe excess, right? And we're like, I don't know, man, like it still looks wide. Why does the nail look wide? So then we grab our file again and we go, okay, it's wide because I didn't file enough on the sides. So let me come up those sides again, right? And I'm really trying to bring in those sides, and each time I come to the sides, what am I doing? I'm thinning it out. Now remember, we had our dust line going straight up from the groove. Once that happens, you're done. But we're like, nope, it's wide. So we're coming back in. I don't know why, as a nail tech, our favorite spot is right on the client's skin right here. But we keep on coming back, and we'll file through here. And then we come back to the sidewalls. And we're like, okay, I'm starting to see it, but it still looks thick. I'm gonna explain to you right now why it's looking wide, not necessarily thick. Grab a brand new file. We're gonna turn our hand kind of sideways. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my hand file and I'm gonna hold it straight with the groove. You see everything that's hanging below the groove? That's what's making our nail look wide. Now, again, we knew this part needed to come up. That's fine. So now it kind of looks straight and even, but let's hold it against this again. So all that below that file has to come up. Otherwise, it's gonna look wide. So instead of coming back here over and over, we need to bring it up and straight with the groove. Right? We keep, and basically what I'm doing is I'm gonna show you another mistake. You know what? Let's show that mistake first so you understand what I'm talking about. So here's what we typically do when we try to bring it up. Now this one, it's not really hanging that low, but as techs, we like to come in like this at an angle. This is how I did it, at least. I'm throwing myself under the bus. We don't rip the nail off the client. That's bad. They won't like it. They won't tip if you do that. Let's get it back on. But we take our file, we're at an angle, and we start bringing it in. Right? And then we start doing the same thing on the other side. We're kind of filing up on that nail bed. And then we're bringing it in. And we file it in. We actually start creating. Remember the first nail where we formed it wrong? We didn't have the sidewalls. When you file that way, we start doing, we create the notch. So we didn't get it with the form, right? We formed it right, straight with the sidewalls. But by bringing in your file up and in like this on the sidewalls, I'm not talking about your filing just the tip. We're filing right at that sidewall, each side to bring it in, we start creating that notch. So going back to this one, how do we prevent that from happening? Well, we're not gonna file up in here, coming straight in here where we're on the sidewall. We're gonna file on the tip where it's too wide and bring it straight with the sidewall. So it's kind of going like this. File, 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 straight. Until we look at it and it's straight with the groove. Now you can see the other side. I don't know if you can. Can you see the other side, how much needs to come up? So again, we're gonna flip it, right? We're gonna make contact with the wide part, the tip, the free edge that's wide, and see how I'm filing it straight, 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 straight. As I make contact, now I'm filing it up and straight with the sidewall without creating a notch. Tip, I'm gonna look at it this way. Now, once you've done this for a while, you don't have to keep on going like this, but it really is a good guide. I know you guys can't see, but this is my guide. I look at it that way to decide what needs to come up. It still needs to come up on the tip. Again, I'm not filing in the groove. I'm filing it straight up so it makes contact. Now, I can bring in the product. I can use my electric file. I can make sure everything's nice and tight. If it still looks wide to you, then we're gonna re-look at it. Does anything need to come up and in? That's what we wanna do. This one still looks a little wide to me. So again, I'm gonna bring it straight up. This made such a massive difference in my nails once I learned this. It took me a long time. If you're not getting it, if you're not understanding it, watch this video. It probably took me like 50 times. In fact, one time I was just sitting there watching Greg. I'm like, oh, I get it. So what I didn't understand is that he was actually taking his file and going up, 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 until he met the sidewall. I still was thinking he was kind of tucking it into the sidewall and trying to bring it up. But again, just hold your file straight. File this way, you're in contact with whatever's hanging loose, hanging low, and bring it straight up. Okay, so one last thing. I told you that I would show you kind of how I bring them up because I don't like to grab the hand file first. I'm one of those people that like to do one thing and then leave it. So I like to pick up my hand file, and that's the last time I have to pick up my hand file. I like to pick up my electric file. That's the last time I have to pick up my electric file. Otherwise, with these, because we filed the sides, shaped them, then we grab our electric file, right? File it. More than likely, you're still gonna have to come, take your hand file, and shape it. So I've picked my hand file up twice now. I don't like to do that. So I like to take, whether you use your coarse safety bit, or I was taught with an X-cut, so I'm comfortable with this. Practice on yourself first. Don't just go straight at a client with this. But I'm gonna take my electric file, and I'm gonna try to do this so you guys, usually I would be overhand, but I'm gonna try to do this so you guys can see a little bit better. Ooh, she got glitter, and I didn't even charge her for it. Okay, and I take and bring my sides in this way. Again, I'm going a little up and over onto the client's skin, but it doesn't hurt. I'm not really making contact. And again, I'm barely making contact even with the product. I'm just letting this take the bulk. Will I still have to use my hand file at the end just to make sure? Absolutely. But this is a faster way for me. I bring in my sides, flip it over, I bring it up this way. And then I can bring it down, and I can totally go through the whole nail, shape it, do all that stuff. Whatever is needed, going through, making sure everything's blended into itself. And after I've done all 10 fingers, now I come back with my hand file. I make sure those sides are nice and tight because I didn't bring it completely. I don't try to get all of it with this because I run the risk of going like this and notching it. So I bring it high up as I'm comfortable with, and then I'll finish with my hand file. Because I gotta refine, shape, do all that anyway with it. So we can finish it off with our hand file. All the way through, finish file. We're gonna check out the nails, of course, but that really has nothing to do with the sidewalls. Those are the tips and tricks to sidewalls, guys. Those are the problems I had. Those are the most common problems. So if you're having problems with your nails breaking in the stress area, and you're like, I don't understand because my nails are thick enough, I want you to take your camera out. Take your camera out. I want you to shoot pictures of your sidewalls. Zoom in. Is there a notch? That's why your nails are breaking.
If you liked what you just watched, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, or check out more of what we've got.